Greetings to all. Welcome back to this most adventurous and beautiful poem, Ulysses, by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Now, today is the third part of this poem we will be discussing, and I'm already sharing the text with you on the screen. You can easily see the text. And the second thing is, I've also sent the text to you through the PDF. So kindly just check the PDFs too, and the link that I have already shared. Now, in this poem, we already discovered, as I already told you in the introduction, that it's a dramatic monologue, and Ulysses is the speaker. He's the king of Ithaca, and he's been traveling a lot and talking about his adventures and about his life. So let's continue with what exactly he wants to say now. He says that we stopped last time when he said that he is a part of all that he has met. Whatever experiences he has gone through, he is a product of all those experiences in his life. And he talks about the boundaries and about the gateways and the untraveled world that shines throughout. Now he comes to another idea, another notion that he exhibits here, and that is, we'll start from the line, how dull it is to pause to make an end. Now, as we already know that Ulysses is a man of adventure, he despises a life of passivity. He just wants to be active all the time, and he has already said that age is never, or in fact has never been, an obstacle in his achievements, in his adventures, in his endeavors. So he says, he wants to explain in this line how dull it is to pause to make an end. He's saying how uninteresting it is. Dull here means we can't take the words literally here. We have to associate the words with what the poet wants to express. So we can say here that dull here means uninteresting. And again he's saying it is to pause. Pause here means to stop, to make an end, to finish. To rust unburnished, not to shine in use. Now again, a beautiful simile, or you can say we have an imagery here, not exactly a simile, but imagery here, where he is saying that just as a sword which is not being used, if it's kept inside the heath and it doesn't work, it's of no use to take it out for long and it gets rusted. So in the same way, just like an unused sword, when it gets rusted, the life of a man, if it's not used properly, then it goes into waste, and he doesn't want that to happen to him. As though to breathe were life. So now he is saying that, it appeared to him that what kind of a life we are leading, just breathing, this is no life. Life piled on life were all too little and of one to me. So he's saying life piled on life, one life after the other. Several lives we have gone through, but he never doesn't want to rest on these several lives that he has. So he says that we little too and of one to me means, he says several lives will be so little to him, even if he get them, so that he could carry on with his adventures and make the most of the life that he has got. Little remains. Now another concern of Ulysses here is that he says a few hours are left, few hours remains now. That is, a few years of his life is left now, and he has to achieve much. But every hour is saved from that eternal silence. So he's saying every hour he has to save from that silence. Eternal silence here means death, of course, an end of life. So he says he has to have to spend each and every second and minute of his life in acquiring knowledge, adventure, discoveries, and making his life worth living. He has to prove himself, not to anybody else, before he finally closes his eyes and goes to the heavenly abode. Something more, a bringer of new things. And while it were for some 3 suns to score and hold myself, and this grey spirit yearning in desire to follow knowledge like a sinking star beyond the utmost bound of human thought. Now again, see the examples here, the comparisons and the imageries that he is using here. He says something more. He says I have to learn something new knowledge I have to acquire, a bringer of new things. I have to incorporate, I have to bring about new things, new adventures, new ideas. And while here means useless, while that is useless if it were for some 3 years. Suns here, 3 suns here means 3 years. to score and hoard myself. So he says, since the 3 years he has kept safely, he says he has kept his body alive. And this grey spirit here, grey already knows, you understand, is old, and spirit is the soul. So he's talking about himself, that he has kept his body alive and has kept his soul also, old soul, alive, yearning in desire, because he has always been longing for new adventures, for new horizons, for new achievements, for new endeavors. And this is the way he wanted to prove himself, that he cannot be satisfied with a life full of you can say complacency, a life where there is contentment. These two words, being complacent and being content, doesn't come or enter in the dictionary of Ulysses. That's why he brought these very famous lines. Tennyson brought these very famous lines, because Tennyson himself, I think Ulysses is the mouthpiece of Tennyson when he wants to say, to follow knowledge like a sinking star beyond the utmost bound of human thought. These are very famous lines, and his lines are often quoted for inspiration and motivation. So what Ulysses wanted is to follow knowledge like a sinking star beyond the utmost bound of human thought. That is, he wanted to follow knowledge, he has to pursue knowledge like a sinking star. That is, a star that passes below the horizon, beyond the utmost bound. Utmost means extreme, bound here, limit of human imagination. Human thought here means human imagination. So again, we have a figure of speech here. We have ample of figures of speech in this poem. Use of alliterations, use of metaphors, use of similes. So to follow knowledge like a sinking star is a simile. So here he wants to say that yes, he has to pursue knowledge just like a star who passes below the horizon, and which knows that it has to go beyond the limit of human imagination. So this is what his approach towards life is. This is my son, my own Telemachus, to whom I leave the scepter and the isle. Now he comes to his son. He describes about Telemachus. Telemachus is the son, and he has to just pass over the royal lineage to Telemachus. Now you have these three, you can say, pronouns: my, mine, and own. These are example of possessive pronouns when he says that this is my son, mine own Telemachus, to whom I leave the scepter and the isle. The scepter is a kind of a rod, a symbol of royal power, which the king holds and sits on the throne. And isle, you already know, is the island of Ithaca, of whom Telemachus will become the prince. So he says, to whom I leave the scepter and the isle, because now he'll be passing the royal lineage to Telemachus, his son, because he's old, and also not because he is old, because he has to pursue adventure and knowledge, and he has to move out. So now who will take charge of this kingdom? His own son, Telemachus. Well loved of me, discerning to fulfill. He says he is loved too much by me, discerning to fulfill. He is quite efficient. Discerning means he is quite efficient to fulfill or to carry out this labor. That is, this labor here means the kingly duties, the kingly responsibilities, the royal duties as a prince or as a king. By slow prudence to make mild. And he is saying that he is very tactful. Prudence means he has enough wisdom, tact, to make mild a rugged people. Now already he shared in the beginning when we began the poem that the people of Ithaca, he described Ulysses, that is his countrymen, are savage people. They just want to hoard wealth, collect wealth, eat, sleep, and be merry kind of attitude they have. So Ulysses here believes that Telemachus is the right person to come on the throne so that he can take care and control and discipline the people of Ithaca, the subjects, the rugged people, means they are rough, uncivilized people, and through soft degrees subdue them to the useful and the good. So he says he will slowly and slowly, soft degrees means with slow effort, he'll go very slowly, and he will surrender them. Subdue means make them surrender to the useful and the good, that is, to the noble things in life. He will train them, he will make them learn how to make the most. Most blameless is he, centered in the sphere of common duties, descent not to fail. So he says that he is a spotless, Telemachus is a spotless character, centered in the sphere, means he is carrying out his duties very carefully, of common duties, descend not to fail, and he also even never fails to pay attention to the common simple duties as a prince or as a king he has to take care of. In offices of tenderness, that is, in the duties of tenderness here, we